Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope you all guys are doing amazing as always, and it's me Joe as always, and today I want to talk about a really disturbing Chinese horror movie called Man Behind the Sun. Now, first I gotta talk about history a little bit. So basically, during the Second World War, Germany, the Nazi Germany, they obviously did a lot of disgusting experiments on people, right? And so did Japan, because Japan was obviously an ally of Germany, right? And they had this unit in Japan. They had this unit called 731, and it was established in 1936. And Unit 731 was responsible for some of the most notorious war crimes, which were committed by the Japanese armed forces. It routinely conducted tests on people who were dehumanized and internally referred to as logs. Experiments including disease injections, controlled dehydration, biological weapon testing, hyperbaric pressure chamber testing, vivisection, organ harvesting, amputation, and standard weapon testing. So this was basically set up by the military police of the Empire of Japan, and this whole facility was built in 1935, and basically they did some some awful experiments. So basically, human experiments involved intentionally infecting captives, especially Chinese prisoners of war and civilians, to disease-causing agents and exposing them to bombs designed to disperse infection substances upon contact with the skin. So basically, the prisoners were injected with diseases disguised as vaccinations, right? So to study their effects. To study the effects of untreated venereal diseases, male and female prisoners were deliberately infected with syphilis and gonorrhea, then studied. A special project, codenamed Maruta, used human beings for experiments. Test subjects were gathered from the surrounding population and sometimes euphemistically referred to as logs, used in such context as how many logs fell, aka how many people died, right? Also, thousands of men, women, and children and infants were subjected to vivisection, often performed without anesthesia and usually lethal. Basically, vivisection is, basically surgeries, and basically dissecting the organs and stuff like that. So, yes, they did some completely absurd shit, some really bad stuff, right? And basically, that's what Unit 731 was all about. It was about, just doing awful experiments on people, also pregnant women. Basically, they dissected a pregnant woman one time, so that's awesome. So they did some terrible stuff. Like some awful stuff, right? And this is all real, right? This all happened. And Men Behind the Sun is basically a movie about, about these things, right? So the movie basically tells a story of how, this camp, this almost like a concentration camp was run, how, people were, how they have gone through all these terrible experiments, how, these experiments were conducted. And, the movie shows all of this, right? Now, there are two controversial scenes in this movie. The first one being a scene with a cat where, like, a cat is thrown into a pit of rats, that are, just really hungry and pissed off, basically, and they completely just eat the cat, basically. And there were claims that the cat was real and that it died, during filming, but that's actually not the case. The cat was just basically like smothered in honey that was colored with like red food dye, and basically the rats were just licking off the food dye, and the cat is not killed actually in the movie. So and you can actually see it in the movie very clearly that the cat is just having a good time and that it's not suffering at all, and it's not dying at all. So that's like the first controversial scene in that movie. And the second controversial scene in the movie is basically a dissection of a little kid, and it's actually a real dead boy. So this is actually an insane story, right? Because the director, he found out about, that some random kid died, and then he basically filmed the dissection of the kid with like the real doctors, apparently. So, and you can see the scene in the movie. So, that's kind of effed up, honestly. It's kind of weird, right? So, these are like two controversial scenes in the movie. The first one with the cat was, proven to be false, and, the cat was fine pretty much after filming. The second scene with the boy was obviously not, well, it was real, In other words, it was real. So, also, this movie is, if you want to watch the movie, it's available on YouTube. So you can go ahead and watch the movie right now. It's here on YouTube, basically. So you can go ahead and watch the movie now. I don't recommend it, just because this movie is really boring, to be honest. It's just really, really boring. It's long, it's boring, and you just get some juicy scenes of those experiments, but honestly, again, the movie is pretty boring overall. And also, it's just not really fun seeing people suffer, because, like, I like horror movies, okay? I'm a big fan of horror movies. I like gory kills. I like that. But seeing people being tortured, that's not the stuff that I like. So, I don't recommend watching the movie. But again, if you want, in its entirety, it's on YouTube. So you can go ahead and watch it right now. Another thing is that this movie is sort of controversial, that, it spreads like anti-Japanese propaganda, because this movie was made by like a director from Hong Kong, and it's essentially like a Chinese production. So, some people are saying that this movie is like anti-Japanese, because it's depicting Japanese people in a bad light. But honestly, like, the thing is that, like, this really happened, right? And these people, they really died, right? So I don't feel like that making an exploitative movie about, stuff that really happened, I don't see it as like anti-Japanese propaganda, just because this stuff really happened, and, these people, they really died, right? So it's kind of weird that some people are saying that it's like anti-Japanese propaganda, because it really isn't, because this stuff really happened. So, yes, they also, when they basically did these experiments, the people died, they basically were basically publishing the experiments, the results of the experiments, but they said that it was conducted on monkeys and not on people, obviously. So, yeah, when the end of the war happened, they tried to destroy this Unit 731. The entire complex was just destroyed, but they obviously found, after the war, they still found, like, the documents, basically, that these, experiments really happened. Now, again, the movie is really tragic, because it depicts stuff that basically really happened, and that's disgusting, and it's kind of like awful to see the movie and to see these experiments, and then thinking that it actually happened to real people, and that real people died, it's awful, So, yeah, this is the movie called The Man Behind the Sun, that's based on some real disgusting stuff that was happening during the Second World War in Japan. So I do not recommend watching the movie, but again, if you want to, it's in its entirety, it's on YouTube, so, you can go ahead and watch it right now if you want. So that's it for today, guys. This was Man Behind the Sun. Yeah, that's the title of the movie. That's it for today, guys. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care, and bye.